15 minutes later, Zhuo Fan and Long Ju were in Veiled Dragon Pavilion's meeting room. Long Ju took out a sheepskin branded with 4 dragon marks. The first words that Zhuo Fan recognized were alliance agreement. Skimming through it, a pleasing smile bloomed on his face. This was what he aimed for from the start, an alliance between Veiled Dragon Pavilion and the Luo clan. Veiled Dragon Pavilion would not only become a support for the Luo clan but would also provide resources without any conditions attached. If the agreement came into effect, he'd be worry-free from any outside attacks and would have the time to develop the Luo clan into a great power. Long Ju was a bit astounded. Why do I feel like you knew this was coming? Zhuo Fan smiled. It had nothing to do with predicting, but planning. Once he settled on having Veiled Dragon Pavilion as an ally, he used the ancient array diagram to entice Long Ju, then took advantage of Veiled Dragon Pavilion in sticking its neck out for him. But that wasn't an alliance, it was just the Luo clan seeking shelter. When faced with great danger, Veiled Dragon Pavilion would have kicked them out. To avoid the worst outcome, he and Veiled Dragon Pavilion fought side by side and even killed 2 profound Heaven Elders. He risked defending the Hell Valley to show the potential of the Luo clan. His aim was an alliance agreement of equals. If he were alone, he would have avoided showing off by fighting 2 profound Heaven experts and amassed fortune instead. If Veiled Dragon Pavilion's Pavilion Lord was a man of vision, he'd choose alliance. Because he would know that the alliance offered now was like fire in winter for the Luo clan. But if offered in the future, it would be more like decoration, one among many. As such, Zhuo Fan made a daring gambit. Gambling if the Pavilion Lord was a man of ambition who did not bother with trifles, and willing to make an ally out of a fallen clan. Fortunately, he won. Of course, if he lost, then Zhuo Fan would cross Veiled Dragon Pavilion from the list of future potential allies. Just because their leader lacked the bravery and ambition of one. Zhuo Fan smiled as he rolled up the sheepskin. I will now take it to young miss for signing. Wait. Long Ju gripped his shoulder. Sign it here and now. Zhuo Fan smiled. I'm not the clan head. Signing it as a steward will make it void. With a sly smirk, Long Ju looked at Zhuo Fan in the eye. Pavilion Lord said this agreement is not with the Luo clan, but with Zhuo Fan. Wherever Zhuo Fan is, that place is Veiled Dragon Pavilion's ally. Long Ju spoke. This is Pavilion Lord's intent. Zhuo Fan frowned, then smiled with a nod. Pavilion Lord Shaw is ambitious, haha. In the dead of night, Zhuo Fan returned to the small courtyard and looked for Captain Pang. Old Pang, where's Missy? I'm looking for her. Sighing, Old Pang muttered, I'll take you to her. Zhuo Fan was taken aback but followed nonetheless. The two entered the kitchen and Zhuo Fan looked at Captain Pang in puzzlement when the latter pointed at Luo Yunchang. Zhuo Fan saw the chaos inside the kitchen and Luo Yunchang, who had fallen asleep next to the stove. Her face even had traces of soot. Sigh, young miss kept asking the cook for guidance from morning till late into the night. Captain Pang sighed, blaming Zhuo Fan a little. Steward Zhuo, I know of your skill, and that young miss and young master do not enter your eyes. But you must know, young miss worked hard day in day out for a whole month to cook for you so that you could have them when you come out of seclusion. But her efforts were not appreciated, instead she received your harsh criticization. Any girl would have been devastated after such a response. Ignoring Captain Pang's rant, Zhuo Fan walked next to the stove where the few dishes Luo Yunchang made laid. Compared to those at noon, these dishes were almost burned. Zhuo Fan took a bite and shook his head. She has no talent whatsoever. Even so, at least show some consideration for her work. Captain Pang rebuked as he walked next to the dishes and tried one. How hard can it be to swallow? He also took a bite and chewed it just once before spitting it right back out. You're right, Steward Zhuo. Young miss is inept at cooking. Sorry for blaming you. Captain Pang wiped his mouth and walked out with a red face. But when he turned back, he saw Zhuo Fan taking one bite after another, and even savoring it. Steward Zhuo, don't force yourself. Ignore what I said. Now that I've also tried young miss cooking, it's indeed. Captain Pang's mouth clamped shut and his face twisted. I'm just a bit hungry. Zhuo Fan smiled as he ate everything. In the morning, a ray of sunshine entered the small courtyard's kitchen. Luo Yunchang's eyelids trembled as she opened her drowsy eyes. Just as she was getting up, she froze. Someone had put a plain cover on her and her back wasn't leaning on the hard stove but on something soft instead. Pursing her lips, she turned her head only to see a sleeping Zhuo Fan leaning on her. And what kept her back soft was his arm. Luo Yunchang was about to yelp but she covered her mouth. It never crossed her mind that Zhuo Fan would spend the night with her here. Blushing, Luo Yunchang observed his face and wanted to take advantage of this opportunity. Young Miss' red lips were inching ever closer to his face. Steward Zhuo, young miss. A sudden rough shout came from Captain Pang. Zhuo Fan's eyelids trembled and were about to open. Luo Yunchang immediately laid her head back on his shoulder and faked sleeping without budging. Just that her red face betrayed her as if she'd done something she shouldn't. Zhuo Fan opened his eyes, took a deep breath, and frowned when he saw Captain Pang coming in. Old Pang, what's the rush? Brother Zhuo, young miss. Captain Pang pointed at Luo Yunchang with shock. Zhuo Fan turned to see Luo Yunchang's red and shivering face. He touched her forehead. It's burning up. Did she catch a cold? Shaking his head, Zhuo Fan blamed himself. Last night, he wanted to take Luo Yunchang back to her room, but afraid of waking her up, he chose to watch over her in the kitchen. He didn't think sleep would cast its spell on him too. Old Pang, say what you came to say. Meanwhile, I'll take this missy back to her room. Zhuo Fan carried Luo Yunchang, but Old Pang was panicking. You can't, Brother Zhuo. Someone wants to invite young miss for a chat. Someone we can't offend. What can't offend? She won't be going even if the Veiled Dragon Pavilion asked. Zhuo Fan snapped. Can't you see she has lost consciousness? She must be sick. Wait for a bit and I'll go see the guest. Steward Zhuo, young miss must go meet him in person. He bears the Imperial Golden Seal. Captain Pang shouted. Zhuo Fan stopped. Only the Imperial family's guards had this seal. Even the 7 houses' leaders would have to respond at once or they'd have committed a grave crime. The lightest punishment was death, while the harshest was dragging one's whole clan with him. But Zhuo Fan had it thought out. Thinking back to last night, Old Pang, tell him young miss is unwell and that he should come back tomorrow. What? Captain Pang's heart jumped in fright. He guessed the one calling him over was that fatty's guard. The fatty was a good man and wouldn't let emotions cloud his judgment, slaughtering innocents left and right. Do what I said, now. Zhuo Fan raised his voice. Wait. Luo Yunchang yelled, struggling out of Zhuo Fan's embrace and spoke with a stern face. Captain Pang, tell him to wait a moment to make myself presentable. Understood. Captain Pang bowed and secretly rejoiced. Thank God, young miss woke up or who knew how much trouble Brother Zhuo's arrangement would have stirred up. But this steward Zhuo sure is dauntless. If I were to follow his words, I'll die of fright. Captain Pang shook his head and left. Zhuo Fan watched Luo Yunchang skeptically. How did she regain consciousness all of a sudden? Luo Yunchang rolled her eyes. Why are you so reckless? Is the Imperial family someone you can offend? To avoid him noticing anything, Luo Yunchang rushed away. Zhuo Fan was left to walk alone to the living room, with doubt in his heart. He met with the man carrying the seal, a peak chi condensation cultivator. He was one of the porters to Fatty's palanquin. Are you Steward Zhuo? My master is inviting you and young Miss Luo for a talk. The envoy cupped his hands, but the prideful attitude never left him, and either on purpose or otherwise, the Imperial Golden Seal flashed on his waist. Perhaps he was afraid they'd mistake him for someone other than the Imperial family's guard. Zhuo Fan snorted. You're still soft thinking you can fake your arrogance around me. When I was faking it, you were still but an egg in your mother's belly. Zhuo Fan didn't even look at him as he slumped in a chair, one leg over the other. The envoy's eyes swelled with rage. Is the fatty's injury healed? Zhuo Fan asked in passing. Fatty. The man was stunned. Then it hit him that Zhuo Fan was calling his master fatty. But the number of people in this world who dared to call him that was less than 10. Then he and master are. His heart started beating a mile a minute and the arrogance was gone from his eyes. My master did not mention any injury when he returned last night. Is that so? Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow, then laughed. He must be thinking of his image. I punched him 30-odd times yesterday and kicked him a dozen times more. There's no way he's fine. Don't you think so too? That fatty must be faking it so you guys won't laugh at him. Zhuo Fan quirked his eyebrows at the man. The envoy's lips twitched, unable to respond. But he was embarrassed nonetheless. Right, was that old goat Fang Qiubai still angry after he arrived? Zhuo Fan looked at him carefully this time. But the envoy just shook his head. Seeing the envoy shaking his head, Zhuo Fan rejoiced. Perhaps you don't know, but that old goat wanted to take me as a disciple. If not for my staunch heart and me choosing death over kneeling, the old goat would have taken me away by now. I still thought he was angry and was going to come nag me again. Now that I know he isn't, I can rest easy. That old goat understands my predicament. What? Fang Qiubai wanted to take you as a disciple? The man shouted as his legs went soft and collapsed. Heavens! Who the hell is this young master? He is a friend that beat up master and also someone wanted as a disciple by Jade Flute Divine Sword Fang Qiubai, who the emperor shows respect to. This scheme is all you had? Come up with something better. In a peaceful location within the forest, a kilometer from Windgaze City, stood a remote courtyard. The 4 guards posted at the door were bone-tempering experts. Zhuo Fan and Luo Yunchang came along with Luo Yunhai and Captain Pang with the envoy as their guide. Steward Zhuo, young Miss Luo, please enter. This must be a meeting of the 3 clan heads. It's up to you to represent us, Bro Zhuo. Luo Yunhai didn't understand. Luo Yunhai understood as Luo Yunchang showed a grateful look. It was clear this meeting was between the 3 clan heads and the imperial family. But after the events over the past few months, all of Windgaze City knew that Luo clan's true clan head was Zhuo Fan. Even the imperial family might be considering Zhuo Fan as the master of the Luo clan. Zhuo Fan did this now so that he did not exceed his authority, and was letting Luo clan come into the light. He wanted to state the fact Luo clan's clan head was still named Luo. They soon arrived at a garden, a single pavilion laid in the middle with a stone table inside. Fatty sat in the seat of honor and behind him stood Jade Flute Divine Sword, Fang Qiubai. On one side of the Fatty was Lei Yuntian, with Lei Yuting and Xiao Kui behind him. On the other, it was Cai Rong and his son, Cai Xiaoting. There were 2 additional empty stools around the table, for Zhuo Fan and Luo Yunchang. This must be a meeting of the 3 clan heads. Zhuo Fan rubbed his nose and took a step back, letting Luo Yunhai take the lead. While Zhuo Fan smiled, show them the dignity of a clan head, and don't let them look down on you. Please, come in. The envoy saw the 3rd prince and bowed 90 degrees towards Zhuo Fan in a show of respect he had for his master's friend. But this had a different effect on everyone. The Fatty was stunned. Since when were the imperial family's guards so humble? Cai clan and Lei clan were of the same opinion. When this guard came to invite them, he was brazen, cocky and flaunting, not carrying in the least who he was talking to. But towards the Luo clan, he treated them like guests. The 2 clans felt apprehensive in their hearts. They were even more envious. They were all clans of Windgaze City, yet the treatment was worlds apart. Only Fang Qiubai smiled, guessing Zhuo Fan might have twisted facts to scare the envoy. But this only worked to admire him more. Under the envoy's polite call, the Luo clan stepped into the pavilion. Luo Yunchang greeted the Fatty. I am Luo Yunchang. Greetings, Your Highness. The Fatty only waved. Please sit. Luo Yunchang and her brother took a seat, while Zhuo Fan and Captain Pang stood behind them. Fatty threw a long look towards Zhuo Fan, secretly nodding. Great authority, but without any arrogance. He is a loyal subject, wielding his martial prowess to protect his master, and courteous enough to defend his master's honor. In the eyes of the imperial family, he was a rare and valuable official. Fang Qiubai smiled with praise in his eyes. Zhuo Fan's conduct was etched in the 2's hearts. The Fatty began, I have invited the 3 clan heads today per the imperial edict to reveal to you the 1,000-years-old relationship between the 3 clans. Everyone was focused on Fatty's next words. The 3 clan heads must have each received an instruction from the previous clan head to not make an enemy out of each other, and perhaps even mentioned about helping one another. Fatty stood up. Moreover, the 3 clans' power must never leave Windgaze City until the pearls shine. In fact, this is an agreement between the founding imperial family 1,000 years ago and the 3 clan heads of that time, known as Secret Pearl Order. Fatty smiled and his eyes flashed. Cai clan, Luo clan, Lei clan and the 7 noble houses are the same. They are all loyal officials, founders of the empire. Like a bomb was thrown on them, the 3 clans' representatives were shell-shocked. They never thought that their origins were the same as the 7 houses. But why had they fallen so low that they could only stay in Windgaze City as mortal clans? The Fatty turned a bit bashful, guessing their thoughts. Sorry, this is what our human clan owes you. Sighing, Fatty continued, at that time, Tianyu Empire was just established and was shaky, with unrest among its people. The great ancestor and founder sent his 7 ministers across the kingdom to employ autonomous administration and settle the land. This gave them enough power to make them equal to the imperial family. They later became the 7 noble houses. In just 20 years, the 7 houses grew exponentially, and their greed ignited a war among them. The imperial family could no longer keep them in check and had to employ schemes in weakening them. The 7 houses were ultimately aware that there will be no winners in their war and ceased fire. But the aftermath was cruel. The people were suffering, the empire was mourning, and it was just one step away from collapsing. But how is this connected to us? Zhuo Fan frowned. Taking a deep breath, Fatty straightened his back. Everyone, to be honest, your clans are founders of our empire. If your elders were still sitting in the imperial court, they would be no less famous than the 4 pillars. Everyone sucked in a cold breath. 4 pillars were the support of the Qianyu Empire, leading the military, economy, politics, external affairs. They were the only ones capable of resisting the 7 houses. There was a rumor, the 4 pillars' power was so strong it struck fear in the imperial family. Imperial family, 4 pillars, and the 7 noble houses represented the empire's highest power, but also restricting each other in a delicate balance. If one side tips, the balance would crumble and the empire would fall. No one could believe that their ancestors were so amazing and capable of becoming the empire's 4 pillars of today. The fatty lost his smile at this point. The great ancestor at the time set up the secret Pearl Order, with your ancestors to prevent another war from breaking out among the 7 houses. But the imperial family could, at any time, combine the 3 clans into a great clan equal to the rank of the 7 houses. This would occur only when war broke out again between the 7 houses. Then this new clan would add balance to the equation, to save as many lives as possible. But, even if an 8th house were to appear, it cannot stop the 7 houses. Luo Yunchang voiced her doubts. Zhuo Fan cut Fatty off with a smile before he could speak. Young miss, the 8th house's purpose isn't to stop them but to add balance. A war breaks out only when one side has absolute confidence in winning it. But a war in which winning was possible at a heavy cost won't happen unless the 2 sides hated each other to the bone. Sometimes, when 2 power starts a conflict, it is very easily solved, since no one wants to suffer irreparable damages. The fatty praised Zhuo Fan. Steward Zhuo is amazing. Luo clan will rise for sure in your capable hands. Third prince, we know of the relationship between the 3 clans. What I want to know is, how are you going to secure our rise to the 8th seat? Zhuo Fan stared at the fatty. Raising his brow, the fatty nodded in admiration. That's Steward Zhuo for you, hitting the nail on the head. Of course, the imperial family's power is enough to make a clan rise in a short time. The hard part though is how to keep it hidden. Zhuo Fan smiled. You think the 7 houses would just watch us rise up to their level? Cai Rong and Lei Yuntian's backs went cold with sweat. They were elated that their ancestors had been imperial court officials. They were thinking, my clan will receive the imperial family's support to rise above a common clan. But Zhuo Fan brought them down to earth. Not to mention growing stronger, the 7 houses wouldn't even let the new clan grow to their level. They would be destroyed while they were at their weakest. Cai Rong and Lei Yuntian were grateful for Zhuo Fan's reminder. The imperial family wanted the 7 houses' power in balance, but the 3 of them wanted to survive. Cai Rong had to admire Zhuo Fan's prudent mind. Cai Rong's lips twitched from the regret he felt. If he hadn't offended Zhuo Fan, he might have been able to rope him. This kid was a genius seen once in 1,000 years. After muttering under his breath for a while, the fatty spoke. This was settled at the moment the secret order was given. What is a clan's foundation? Spirit stones, pills? No, these are support items. Strength is the best guarantee of a powerful clan. Veiled Dragon Pavilion has its 9 outstanding elders. Hell Valley has its 12 elders as overseers. Each of the 7 houses has its own strength. Also, every one of them has invited a venerable. Along with other secret weapons they're holding, even we, the imperial family, don't dare stir them. Fatty's eyes then shined like a radiant sun. At the time, in order to paralyze the 7 houses, Great Ancestor confiscated the wealth of your clans. This is why none of you has any decent cultivation method and martial arts. It was also because of this reason the 7 houses withdrew their surveillance on you 500 years ago. Yet none of them would have thought that you all are still holding a low profound ranked martial art. Fatty showed a sneaky smile. With this martial art all of you can become strong. Even the 7 houses only have 1 or 2 profound ranked martial arts. The 3 clans were amazed. When did they have such a martial art? If they had it, they'd have used it to grow strong by now. Only Zhuo Fan's eyes rolled about, recalling something. With a vague smile, Fatty's hand flashed and revealed a green jade slip. This is a low mortal ranked martial art, combining art. By itself, it holds no value, but if you use it along with your clan's spirit ranked martial arts you inherited, you can combine them into a single martial art of the profound rank. In other words, Luo clan's returning Dragon Palm, Cai clan's Wind Kick, and Lei clan's Lightning Finger were originally one single martial art that the imperial family split among the 3 clans, and only the imperial family knew the way to restore it. Zhuo Fan squinted. Fatty was shocked but then nodded. Steward Zhuo is wise. There aren't many martial arts which are capable of splitting other martial arts, and the number of martial arts that can restore them are even lesser. I didn't think Steward Zhuo would know of this. If Imperial Father hadn't mentioned it, I would have never found out. Zhuo Fan just smiled. Perhaps because the splitting martial arts were uncommon even at the mortal rank, each sect in the sacred domain seized them. They split their core martial arts to prevent degenerate disciples from spreading it. Only the sect leader's disciple had the right to learn the entire set of martial arts. Clan heads, please take out your inherited martial arts. Fatty placed the jade slip on the table with a smile. Sighing, Lei Yuntian cupped his hands. Your Highness, I was unable to protect my ancestors' martial art from Hell Valley's thieving hands. I accept Your Highness' punishment. Cai Rong also cupped his hands. Your Highness. I am the same. What? Fatty slapped the table. Fatty's body shivered in rage. Why you? Just how are you both clan heads? Have you forgotten your ancestors' instructions? You should have defended it with your lives. The two kneeled. Please forgive us, Your Highness. Fatty sighed as he scratched his head. Cai Rong peeked at him. Your Highness, can't the imperial family bestow us another profound ranked martial art? Bestow your mom. Fatty couldn't hold it in and began raining curses and spitting all over Cai Rong's kneeling figure. What do you take profound ranked martial arts for, cabbage? Even the imperial family has only 4 of them, and they're each registered. If I take one out, everyone will know. How are your clans gonna rise then? You dumb pig, are you tired of living? Fatty gave Cai Rong a round of slapping then stomped his feet. Cai Rong curled up and shivered on the ground. What now? The secret pearl order is ruined. Fatty paced around. Zhuo Fan smirked, and 2 jade slips appeared with a flash in his hand. Third Prince, there's no need to worry. I have their clan's martial arts. What? The 2 clan heads shouted in unison, staring dumbfounded in Zhuo Fan's direction. Cai Rong in particular, having not witnessed Zhuo Fan's prowess, was incredulous at what was happening. Lei Yuntian gave Zhuo Fan a thankful nod. If not for him, not only Lei clan wouldn't recover, they'd even be executed in a fit of anger by Third Prince. Steward Zhuo, you truly are amazing. I see why Elder Ju of Veiled Dragon Pavilion speaks so highly of you. Fatty was overjoyed, and ran into Zhuo Fan for a bear hug. If not for you, I would have failed Imperial Father's task. I owe you one. Smiling, Zhuo Fan shook his head. This is all for the Luo clan. Yes, right, for the Luo clan and for me. Ha. Fatty slapped Zhuo Fan's shoulder, then gathered the 4 jade slips. Now that we have the martial arts, next is the merger of the 3 clans. According to the great ancestors' secret pearl order, 2 clans are to merge with the strongest. And the profound ranked martial art will be in the clan head's care. Your Highness, Cai Rong seemed hyped as he jumped to his feet. Luo clan has little strength and only 4 members, and Lei clan is on the verge of collapse. Only my Cai clan is flourishing. As such, I will begrudgingly accept this responsibility and support them under my clan's wing. As of now, I will take Lei and Luo clan as Cai clan's disciples and assist the imperial family in fulfilling the secret edict. As he finished speaking, Cai Rong reached for the jade slips, but a rough hand stopped him. Lei Yuntian glared at him as he asked, Cai Rong, how can a bone-tempering cultivator be enough to act as clan head? So what? Based on strength, my clan is the best. Cai Rong raised his brows. Don't be so sure. Lei Yuntian sneered at Cai Rong and looked at Lei Yunting. She showed a proud smile and stepped forward. Clan head Cai, in this last month, I gathered all the scattered Blackwind Mountains men. We have 600 men, half of them are in chi condensation. Based on strength alone, the Cai clan is weaker. So what if you're strong? You're just bandits. Cai Xiaoting laughed at her. Lei clan is but a rabble of thugs. If you take the role of clan head, we'll only be the 7 houses laughingstock. Never will we be able to reach their level. Who are you calling a thug? You want a piece of me? You say you're not, thug granny. In an instant, the Lei and Cai clans started fighting for the leader's position. Zhuo Fan was secretly sneering at the side. This new clan is just being established, and it was still a question if it could survive. Yet these bunch of idiots are plagued with delusions of grandeur that they could hold their own against the 7 houses. Luo Yunchang's face burned in anger. They were fighting against each other while ignoring the Luo clan. It clearly showed that they thought little of her clan. Although they were but 4 members, they were still one of the 3 clans in the edict. But these clans didn't even ask for their opinion. With that loud slap, the 2 clans stopped and turned to see the brat Luo Yunhai hitting the table. His face was stern and his eyes were steadfast, unlike his usual childish self. Even Zhuo Fan quirked an eyebrow. Why all this fuss? Luo Yunhai swept the people with his eyes and spoke with resolve. In this merger of clans, The only one worthy of the leader position is none other than my Luo clan. Luo Yunhai's declaration shocked them silly. Cai Xiaoting mocked, what does a brat know? You're the weakest of us, nothing of worth at all. What gives you the right to lead us? Sneering, Luo Yunhai grinned. Luo clan has no men. Everyone there recognized his look, the spitting image of someone they all knew very well. This made them turn their eyes to Zhuofan. Money or pills? It only has us 4, masters and servants. Luo Yunhai looked at them with sparkling eyes. But our clan is the strongest because we have Steward Zhuo. Under the hopeful and worried gazes, especially Luo Yunhai's expectant look, Zhuofan shook his head. This kid hardly ever shows such great expectations from me. I can't disappoint him now, can I? Zhuofan is a mere steward. How can a person of low status like him be worthy to hold on to all our Cai clan's guards and wealth? Punk, our clan shall be the head, don't. Cai Xiaoting mocked but didn't finish as Zhuofan slapped the table, revealing the alliance agreement. Under the puzzlement of others, Zhuofan sneered. This is Luo clan and Veiled Dragon Pavilion's alliance contract. What? The fatty was so shocked his whole body trembled and was close to falling off his chair. Even the relaxed and uncaring Fang Qiubai behind him narrowed his eyes as he scanned the sheepskin with shock. Veiled Dragon Pavilion was one of the 7 noble houses. The only ones worthy of signing an alliance agreement with them were others from the 7 houses, while the rest only had the right to sign a subsidiary agreement. But now, with a deep look, Fang Qiubai sighed as he asked Zhuofan, Kid, how did you do it? Recognized and valued as a hero. He nodded towards Fang Qiubai, then turned to the 2 clans and spoke in a cold tone, let me tell you, even if this crappy secret pearl order never existed, as long as I'm here, Luo clan will ultimately rise to the ranks of the 7 houses. You're of no help to us. The 2 other clans lost their voices in shock. On the contrary, you are a burden. Zhuofan sneered. With rosy cheeks, Luo Yunchang raised her chin proudly. Luo Yunhai was grinning from excitement, watching Zhuofan with veneration. Mulling over, the fatty traced his hand on the alliance agreement. He found Zhuofan's strength exceeding his expectations, as it was not a simple matter to gain such an alliance agreement. Fatty sighed, Steward Zhuo, I am saddened by seeing you live in such a poor clan. Why don't you come help me? Just think about it. To the shock of everyone present, the 3rd prince expressed his intention in recruiting Zhuofan. It amazed them that Zhuofan was so highly sought after that even the imperial family was willing to have him. Luo Yunchang stood up nervously, thinking Zhuofan would be snatched away. Zhuofan smiled and shook his head. 3rd prince, you're overestimating me. Even in the Luo clan, am I not doing my best for the imperial family? Fatty quirked an eyebrow and smiled. All right. I'll leave it at that. He then turned to the rest. It's decided. The Luo clan will be the leader of the 3 clans merger. Cai and Lei clans are to assist the Luo clan in fulfilling the secret pearl order. Your Highness. Cai Xiaoting was disgruntled and wanted to voice his objection, but Cai Rome gripped his arm. He didn't understand the reason, but Fatty's pin-sized eyes left him shivering from the killing intent. Secret Pearl Order was a millennium-old secret plan, and it held great importance to the imperial family. It was understandable that they would only choose the best clan for the position of leader. If they felt that being a vassal was unpleasant, the imperial family would finish them off with a mere swipe. Fatty nodded, then turned to Lei Yuntian to see if he had objections. The old man said, Your Highness, be at ease. I will give my all in assisting Yunhai and Yunchang. As Cloud Manor fell because of me, I will become a servant to atone for my crimes. Fatty nodded at his sincerity. Good, since there are no objections, the 3 clans shall unite. Understood. Everyone bowed. We shall now withdraw. Steward Zhuo stay for a while. Zhuofan was unclear as to the reason why but remained nonetheless under the departing and curious gazes of the rest. The fatty let out a breath, then rushed to Zhuofan and dragged him to an empty place in the garden. 3rd prince. Zhuofan frowned. Fatty waved. Just follow my lead. Fatty then pointed 2 fingers at the sky as he shouted, I, Tianyu Empire's 3rd prince, Yuan Song, vow to heaven to become sworn brother with Luo clan steward, Zhuofan, to share life and death together and never betray him. Your turn. Fatty watched Zhuofan impatiently. Zhuofan was confused, but becoming sworn brothers with 3rd prince had to be a good thing, so he went along. I, Luo clan steward, Zhuofan, vow to heaven to become sworn brother with Tianyu Empire's 3rd prince, Yuan Song. If he doesn't betray me, I won't either. Fatty muttered when he heard the last part. Brother, you sure are meticulous. Fatty, it's not that I don't trust you, but the pugilistic world is too vicious. Zhuo Fan shrugged. Call me how you like it. I feel much better since we are sworn brothers now. Fatty sighed. Do you remember our bet from yesterday? The winner gets to have Sister Kuei. I lost the bet, but I still can't let it go, so I decided to become sworn brothers with you. This way I won't go after my brother's wife, and it would help me forget about Sister Kuei too. Zhuo Fan rose an eyebrow, incredulous that the fatty wanted to become sworn brothers over this. Fatty, there's nothing between me and that girl. She was just making excuses. What, is that true? Fatty even jumped 10 meters in joy. Then can I still chase her? Nodding, Zhuo Fan showed a vague smile. Go, go, annoy the little lass to death. Awesome, brother. You are indeed my sworn brother. Fatty was skipping and whooping in joy. Now that the bet was off, he could chase Long Kuei to his heart's content. Zhuo Fan smiled. Fatty, what does the secret pearl order truly say? The fatty dropped his smile, watching Zhuo Fan with embarrassment. Brother, didn't I say it already? This plan is very delicate, and even the goal is fair, but, Zhuo Fan squinted, it lacks ambition. So much so that an emperor of a founding empire would never come up with it. The great ancestor showed great ambition when he established the empire. Zhuo Fan wasn't gullible enough to believe the secret Millennium Order was limited to restricting the 7 houses and maintaining a balance of power. Fatty shook his head. I do not know either. This was what I've been told. Zhuo Fan stared him down but discovered nothing else. Maybe he knew nothing, or maybe his acting was top-notch. Then how did Hell Valley catch wind of this 1,000-year-old secret edict? Zhuo Fan smiled. All of Hell Valley's actions were against the secret edict while looking innocent doing it. They were afraid of the imperial family's investigation. Fatty frowned. Reason points to the contrary, but there are many spies in the imperial capital. The information about secret edict might have leaked. It remained hidden for 1,000 years and only now it gets leaked. Zhuo Fan frowned. Maybe leaking it is part of the secret edict's contents. The fatty shivered and went wide-eyed. Zhuo Fan smirked. It's clear now. Never mind, it works in Luo clan's benefit anyway. So there's no need to poke my nose in it. There's no need to worry over nothing. Zhuo Fan waved as he left. Fatty, I'll be going. We'll meet again if we get the chance. A voice rang in Fatty's ear as Zhuo Fan's figure distanced. This kid is perhaps too sharp. Scary even. It was Fang Qiubai in his blue robe. Fang Qiubai muttered, the more I watch him the more he resembles someone. Who? Fatty asked. Fang Qiubai's eyes flashed. Zhuge Changfeng, the leader of 4 pillars, Prime Minister Zhuge Changfeng? Fatty was in shock. Are you saying Zhuo Fan? Nodding, Fang Qiubai smiled. Tsonga, becoming sworn brothers with him was the best decision you made in your life. One day, he will become one of your 4 pillars, helping you rule. The fatty was stunned, watching Zhuo Fan getting further away as ambition flickered in his eyes. Zhuo Fan returned to the small courtyard and saw the others waiting outside. On a full moon night, when the slums had turned unusually quiet, a sound broke the silence and a black-clothed man suddenly appeared outside the room. He had a bamboo hat that hid his features. The sitting old man stopped fanning and smiled. Valley Lord Yu, how is it progressing? The bamboo-wearing man was Hell Valley's Valley Lord, Yu Wanshan. Sighing, Yu Wanshan shook his head. A dozen years of painstaking effort was ruined. The Emperor ordered for Hell Valley to stay away from Windgaze City. The same goes for the other houses. He must have sensed something. The old man raised an eyebrow with a smile. The Emperor is planning on enacting the secret pearl order? My guess is yes. Yu Wanshan's face grew angry. They got luck on their side last time, but next time, it won't be so simple. Emperor wants to raise the 8th house, but we shall see if the clan can live to see that day. Valley Lord Yu, ease your anger. A loss is a loss. Why make excuses? The old man was still calm, yet his words were sharp and filled with disdain. Hell Valley is one of the 7 noble houses, yet it can't even deal with 3 common clans. The time of its fall must be close at hand. Yu Wanshan snapped, his power exploding. Peak profound heaven cultivation smashed the windows to splinters. He unleashed all of it to pressure the old man. Zhuge Changfeng, you were the one who told me of the contents of the secret pearl order. It was also you who said the Emperor wants to help in the rise of the 8th house. The dozen years plan also came from you. So how can you speak like this? The smile never left the old man's face, still sitting calmly and fanning slowly. Yu Wanshan bellowed, go to hell. Boom. Yu Wanshan's felt a sweetness in his throat and spat blood as his face paled. At that moment, one's eyes flashed black while the others flashed white. A ripple echoed outwards and clashed with Yu Wanshan's display of power, creating a jarring sound. Yu Wanshan watched the black and white elders incredulously. Yin-yang elders? Zhuge Changfeng nodded. Valley Lord Yu sure is knowledgeable. These seniors haven't shown up over the past century. I find it amazing that you still recognize them. Grinding his teeth in anger, Yu Wanshan panted while also spitting blood now and then, but the look he had when he turned to the elders was now one of fear. You are worthy of being Tianyu's #1 sage, Four Pillars' leader, Prime Minister Zhuge. To be able to make these monsters leave their mountain, not even that Fang Qiubai from the Divine Dragons can compare to you. Valley Lord Yu is exaggerating. I am not worthy of such a title. I do not dare face the imperial family in the open just yet. Zhuge Changfeng let out a short laugh, but the confidence he exuded was unshakable. Yu Wanshan snorted and muttered, Prime Minister Zhuge is as modest as he is arrogant. Who in the Tianyu Empire can match your power? Not even the imperial family can. Sigh, I can see why you failed in Windgaze City. In this world, strength and weakness aren't obvious at a glance. Zhuge Changfeng sighed as he looked at the sky. Furthermore, I am not the #1 sage in Tianyu. If not you, then who? That person above me. Zhuge Changfeng pointed upward with a grave expression. Yu Wanshan disdained. You're talking about that senile emperor? Senile? Zhuge Changfeng chuckled. I've been a prime minister in the imperial court for 40 years now, and I still can't read him. Valley Lord Yu, go back. Make sure to not cause any further trouble. Zhuge Changfeng swayed his fan. As his countenance went back to normal, be careful to not give that old man the perfect chance to remove you for good. Yu Wanshan grinned, but when he saw the cold look in Zhuge Changfeng's eye, he didn't continue. He just cupped his hands and vanished in the night. After Yu Wanshan left, Zhuge Changfeng took a deep breath and looked to the heavens. Your Majesty, what is your plan? What is the secret Pearl Order? 3 months later, in the misty forest at the foot of Blackwind Mountain, Zhuge Fan stood near a frigid blood pool, holding a gourd. His hands performed signs and red dots flew from the pool into the gourd. A smile tugged at Zhuge Fan's face as he watched the wiggling red dots. This blood pond was something Zhuge Fan made to raise the frigid pool snowworm, though its name should more aptly be frigid pool bloodworm. Zhuge Fan used a secret art from the 9 Serenities secret records to train this particular demonic creature, so it not only retained the parasitic ability of the frigid pool snowworm but it also connected to Zhuge Fan through telepathy. It could now work in tandem with him in performing a secret and evil magic art from the 9 Serenities secret records. The blood curse. Young Miss Luo clan was becoming stronger day by day. She was so moved that she was lost for words. It got so far that she even let Zhuge Fan's disappearance for these past 3 months slide. Come with me. Zhuge Fan beckoned Luo Yunchang. Steward Zhuge, is there something? Luo Yunchang smiled as they entered a small room. Zhuge Fan closed the windows and doors without replying. Her thoughts started going in a particular direction and her face flushed. Zhuge Fan, what are you trying to do? Luo Yunchang was bashful. Taking a deep breath, Zhuge Fan began. I'm leaving. Why? Luo clan is growing and is already the #1 clan in Windgaze City. Why do you want to leave? For Luo clan's safety. Zhuge Fan's tone was grave. Luo clan is safe, for now. And there's no other clan around to mess with it. But remember what we had to do in exchange for all this. We accepted the imperial family's vague secret Pearl Order and offended the 7 noble houses Hell Valley. As for Veiled Dragon Pavilion, if we do not rise to the level of the 7 houses, they will change their stance with us. Then we need you even more. What will we do without you? Luo Yunchang teared up. Her heart was unwilling to let him go. In a blink, a glittering tear fell. Wiping her tears away with a gentle touch, Zhuge Fan said, Fatty was right about one thing. A clan's foundation is strength. I am leaving now to bring back experts for the Luo clan, to protect our future. This is the control method of the 4 arrays around Blackwind Mountain. Only you must use it. If I'm not back in time, you can activate the arrays to deal with any trouble that arises. These are 4 5th grade arrays, plus the Wraith array in the Misty Forest. It should defend you for a good while. Zhuge Fan gave a jade slip to Luo Yunchang, who accepted it in tears. She asked softly, how long will you be gone? Sighing, Zhuge Fan shook his head, I don't know. But I'll be back as soon as I can. Alright, go now. Send Captain Pang and Yunhai in. He wasn't leaving just to recruit experts, but also to search for the Heavenly Emperor's remnant Long Ju talked about. Lightning Canyon. At any given time, raising one's power was the most basic way to guarantee one's safety. Nodding, Luo Yunchang left, but stopped to kiss Zhuge Fan. He froze for a moment and watched her leave with a deep look. Luo Yunchang blushed but didn't turn around as she mumbled, come back soon. When the words came, she was already gone. Not a moment later, Captain Pang brought Luo Yunhai over. Even they were shocked that Shuo Fan was leaving. Silly kid, Shuo Fan patted Yunhai's shoulder. You're the only man of the Luo clan. Your sister will have to rely on you in the future. You must act like a true clan head who bears the Luo clan's responsibilities. Luo Yunhai nodded while sobbing. Turning to Captain Pang, Pang Yu, do you remember what Long Kuei said? She is right. With your talent, you'll only be a qi condensation cultivator at best. Captain Pang's face darkened, his hand shivered and withdrew a bit. But, Shuo Fan's tone turned grave. Nothing is set in stone. Shuo Fan's hand flashed and revealed a jade slip. I have on me a way to change your body anew, to gain incredible power, but the terror you will experience would be worse than death and the pain unimaginable. Are you willing? Nodding, Shuo Fan raised the jade slip. This is a mid-profound ranked demonic method, Wraith Art. It is unlike other cultivation methods. It is a cultivation method for the body, ignoring one's talent for cultivation or his constitution. Just that cultivating it will make your life a living hell. It's no different from being boiled alive, and once you start, you can never stop or your soul will perish. Captain Pang snatched the jade slip as he shouted, no worries. As long as I can become strong, no torment shall best old Pang. Shuo Fan reminded him, the horrors you will experience from cultivating it aren't something you can fathom. Maybe you will be under such a pain that your mind will collapse and die in the end. This is a mid-profound ranked cultivation method, matching a high-profound ranked cultivation method, but with the process being so excruciating, many great demonic cultivators never even dared to touch it. Choose wisely. Captain Pang's eyes flickered. Brother Zhuo, old Pang's only torment in this life was to see clan head die before me and unable to stop it. Now, my greatest wish is to protect young miss and young master. Captain Pang looked gratefully. Brother Zhuo, thank you for giving me this chance to have no more regrets. Zhuo Fan's heart shivered as he nodded. His eyes held respect. The next time we see each other, I hope to see a powerful old Pang and not a corpse. No worries. I am stubborn, not one to die from just this. Captain Pang laughed. Brother, come back soon. Luo clan won't be the same without you. Patting Zhuo Fan's shoulder, Captain Pang left with Luo Yunhai. Per Zhuo Fan's instructions, Lei Yuting came soon after. Miss Lei, how is the task I gave you? Zhuo Fan smiled. Lei Yuting blushed with a nod. Brother Zhuo, the 610-year-old children you asked me to gather are almost here. They all are high talents and await your teachings. Zhuo Fan eyed her then nodded. How did you know that I wanted to teach them? Lei Yuting spoke with confidence. I know you too well to believe that you helped those orphans out of the goodness of your heart. So I guessed you wanted to train them as Luo clan's guards and make me their leader. At her words, Zhuo Fan recalled something and sighed. Goodness, I once raised an orphan out of kindness and look where it got me. Didn't he betray me in the end? Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed coldly at that point, scaring Lei Yuting. Miss Lei. Zhuo Fan held a jade slip. This is a mid-spirit ranked cultivation method, elusive shadow art. Cultivate it and then give it to those you trust to form the shadow core, protecting the clan in the dark. Begin with the 600 children the same way I taught you. Use the worst of them as guards, the average for the shadow core, and hand the best among them over to Captain Pang to train them in secret. Pass him my word, he'll understand. Lei Yuting took the jade slip with a blank look, then stared at Zhuo Fan, her heart uneasy. Why not do it yourself? I'm leaving. What? Lei Yuting asked. Why? Zhuo Fan was forced to retell his reasons. Lei Yuting nodded, but before she went out the door, she pecked Zhuo Fan's cheek. He was floored, watching her dash away in a blink. What is going on? Do all women like to peck? Be it righteous or demonic cultivators, there were other external means to increase one's power besides the hard and arduous method of cultivation. Spiritual weapons, demonic treasures, spirit animals, demonic creatures, these were all external means but of significant importance. Spiritual beasts could be turned into demonic creatures or spirit animals. Righteous cultivators tamed them into spirit animals, while demonic cultivators tamed them into demonic creatures. The Blue Expanse City was taken by Hell Valley during the founding of the Tianyu Empire. As such, any cultivator wanting to get his spirit animal or demonic creature would have to obtain Hell Valley's approval. It had been a month since he left Luo clan, and this city was his first destination, Blue Expanse City. This place was Hell Valley's domain. Just how Veiled Dragon Pavilion placed its guards in the Windgate, so did Hell Valley in this city. To avoid anyone recognizing him, Zhuo Fan put on a hold. Where's your pass? With a clank, 2 city guards crossed their spears before the man as they released their 6th-layer chi condensation cultivation. Taking out a metal tablet with the serene character inscribed on it, the black-robed man let them see it. The guards nodded. Hell Valley used this as a pretext to set up a checkpoint half a mile around it to confirm everyone's identities, allowing entry to only those with a pass. But how could Zhuo Fan expose himself and offer himself up on a chopping block? So he killed 2 righteous cultivators outside, stole their pass, and waltzed right in. Hell Valley can only intimidate some shy disciples with this. You think this is enough to deal with a bold cultivator or a profound heaven expert? Zhuo Fan's mouth let out snide remarks as he walked on. As he walked, a black figure knocked into his chest. Zhuo Fan looked down to find a little beggar in shabby clothes. The little beggar's pleading voice, "Please, don't shout." Zhuo Fan frowned. Then, from his back, a group of 30 chi condensation cultivators appeared. Any sign of her? None. What are you standing around for? Find her. If we don't find her, Master will have our heads. A steward cursed. The others only nodded as they scattered. Once they were gone, the beggar looked up with a relieved breath and patted his chest. Scared me to death. I didn't think I'd make it, brother. The beggar was stunned for a second, then swooped in to block Zhuo Fan's path. He had a dark and dirty face but sported an extra big smile as he said, "Thank you for earlier. If it weren't for you." But Zhuo Fan kept walking. The beggar stood there blinking, then hurriedly caught up with Zhuo Fan. "Brother, did you come from outside the city? Can you take me outside, please? If you want to leave, do it alone. You don't need a pass to go out." Zhuo Fan dodged him. The little beggar's face was bitter as he bit his lip and sniffed twice as tears rolled down his cheeks. "Brother, to be honest, I stole from them. If they catch me, I'm a goner. Please, take me out." Smiling, Zhuo Fan eyed him, around 15-16 years old and a 4th-layer chi condensation cultivator. "You're not weak for your age. There's no way a commoner can have such cultivation. Are you truly a beggar?" Zhuo Fan continued with a smile, "And even if you're sincere, why should I help you and offend a powerful clan?" Zhuo Fan then shook his head and walked past him. The beggar stood frozen in his spot, not knowing what to do. She didn't think Zhuo Fan was pragmatic. "I see no reason why I need to help you. Don't you want to go to the All-Beast mountain range?" The beggar shouted. Zhuo Fan halted his steps. "All who come here are looking to go to the All-Beast mountain range. What else is here? Visiting Hell Valley's cemetery?" The beggar was stunned by his words. This kid sure has an attitude. Isn't he afraid of being killed for cursing Hell Valley? "You'll have to wait for 3 months before going to All-Beast mountain range." Zhuo Fan stopped with a frown. "Why?" The beggar skipped to him with a smile. "Let me tell you, the diamond sand is about to come out on All-Beast mountain range. These past months Hell Valley sealed the whole mountain range for this precise reason." Diamond sand? Zhuo Fan was secretly overjoyed. The diamond sand was known as the blood of the earth, rare and difficult to obtain. It was used for refining 5th-grade spiritual weapons. But what made it even more valuable was that it was a flowing spirit metal, a perfect match for his blood infant. With a body refined from diamond sand, facing a profound heaven expert would be a cinch. Thinking of this, Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with excitement. The beggar saw through Zhuo Fan and coughed as he raised his head with pride. "Let's make a deal. If you take me outside the city, I will take you to All-Beast mountain range. And when the diamond sand erupts, we can take advantage of that." Zhuo Fan secretly snickered. There was no way Hell Valley didn't deal. The beggar raised his hand and winked. Zhuo Fan shook his head and slapped the beggar's hand. "Awesome. I finally found someone to take me out of this damnable place. Brother, what's your name?" "Zhuo Fan." "Ninga." Just when the little beggar was about to take Zhuo Fan to All-Beast mountain range, a yell echoed in their ears. Little beggar shivered, turning his head shyly. The young master ignored Zhuo Fan and glared at the beggar with rage. "You've caused enough trouble. It's time you return." Biting his lip, the beggar's eyes looked uncertain, but soon he came to a decision and stared back with a firm gaze. He dodged behind Zhuo Fan with a yell. "Brother Zhuo, save me. This concerns our Shui clan. If Sir does not want any trouble, I suggest you leave." Shui clan was the #1 common clan in Blue Expanse City. It had a profound heaven expert as overseer. I didn't think this buddy had offended the Shui clan. "Kid, what do you think you're doing?" the young master bellowed. Zhuo Fan snickered. "From now on, she's under me. If you want her, you'll have to pass through me first." "Absurd. Did you come to Blue Expanse City without even knowing of our Shui clan? Is our clan someone you can offend?" "Of course I know. Shui Clan is Hell Valley's #1 dog in Blue Expanse City. You're telling me to ignore all those rare and amazing spiritual beasts on All Beast Mountain Range for a lame dog? The beggar was also angry and pushed Shui Fan. Don't talk of Shui Clan like that. Shui Fan was stunned. I am venting your anger, yet you still blame me? The young master was about to explode from anger. Men, seize them. Shui Fan attacked with disdain. His hand flashed red and struck with blood palm. So you do know a thing or two, kid. No wonder you're so smug. The beggar's eyes also bulged in wonder. The young master gnashed his teeth and jumped, shattering the stones beneath his feet. Then let me, Shui Gang, coerce sir with my high martial art. Shui Gang. Are you Shui Clan's young master? I heard your dad pampers you and you are to be the clan's successor. Are you afraid perchance? Shui Gang shouted. No, I just don't like annoyances. If I offend you here, my days in Blue Expanse City will be harder. It's best to shut all these people up for good and bring peace to my ears. Shui Fan's eyes flashed with killing intent and shot forward. Such pressure from him squeezed at Shui Gang's heart. He never dreamed Shui Fan would dare to kill him. The naked killing intent made his Yuan Qi slow down, even if he was 3 layers higher than Shui Fan. With no time to lose, he punched. Blue lights shot like a tornado at Shui Fan. Shui Fan snorted in disdain and made a hand sign so that a red light flew right into Shui Gang's body. Shui Gang's body froze on the spot in panic. At this moment Shui Fan towered over him. Seeing Shui Fan's devious grin, Shui Gang felt like he was looking at a demon and his heart seized up for a few seconds. Shui Fan's palm landed on his chest and Shui Gang spat blood as he flew into the air. His organs felt like they were burning and his blood vessels began to rupture, but the pain had yet to register when the demon approached. Shui Gang was so scared he was having a mental. Shui Fan tightened the chokehold and Shui Gang felt his throat almost breaking. He could even hear his bones creak. He was on the brink of death. Besides agony, nothing else was felt. Stop. Just when Shui Fan wanted to apply the last bit of force and send the young master to paradise, the beggar yelled. What are you doing? Aren't they your enemies? Even if they are, I don't want to kill them. The beggar cried. Why didn't you say so? But it's too late now. They are no longer just your enemies, they are mine too. The only ending for my enemies is death. Shui Fan's hand tightened and Shui Gang's eyes bulged out. He wasn't far off from dying. If you don't release him, I won't guide you. Shui Fan frowned. This was his first time seeing a person shed tears for their enemies. Shui Fan made a sign and Blood Infant returned as he shrugged. Since you aren't scared, why would I be over some future inconvenience? He wiped the tears off the beggar's little face. Show the way, then I will take you outside the city, far from Shui Clan. You baddie. Correct, I'm a bad man, but in this world, they are the only ones who can survive. The good guys have already left for hell. An hour later, a black figure appeared standing in Shui Fan's previous position. The old man's beard shivered from rage at the sight of the guards on the ground. He noticed Shui Gang twitching on the ground, helped him up, and asked nervously, Ganger, what's wrong? Who did this to you? His wound wasn't heavy, only needing a month to heal. But his mind, however, had received a heavy shock. He was frightened so badly he peed himself. Ganger is a bold youth. Only a dreadful expert could have scared him to such a state in such a short time. No matter who it was, any who dared offend Shui Clan in Blue Expanse City would have another thing coming. That's the path up the mountain. The beggar, Shui Fan looked ahead and frowned seeing 30 bone-tempering guards. With his strength and savage moon, along with Blood Infant's help, it wasn't hard to charge through. But to do it without anyone noticing was the problem. Any noise here would attract the elder from Hell Valley stationed within. And since Shui Clan's profound heaven expert was after him, he'd have a hard time coming out alive. Xiao Ning, where's the secret tunnel? Come with me, said the little beggar while sniffing hard. Shui Fan felt helpless. Why is this kid more of a coward than a mouse? Ever since he saw what I did, he keeps crying from fear, even now. They were the enemies chasing you down, not your family. So why are you crying so hard? Who told him to agree to this little beggar's deal? He imagined that after he followed the beggar to the mountain, he'd be facing some ferocious spiritual beasts while the beggar kept crying at the side. This is it. When I was little, I often hide from my dad and play with my brothers in these woods. Shui Fan lifted an eyebrow as he inspected the cave and the surroundings. It was such a remote place that only a native would know of. All right, Xiao Ning. Go in first, I'll be right behind you. Suddenly, a loud shout was heard. Comment Ninga, stop. With a sound of the wind, a large figure blocked the two's path. The man looked like his pair of large eyes flashed with the explosive power of an expert. Peak bone tempering expert, are you the clan head of the Shui clan, Shui Wanlong? Good eyes, Shui Wanlong praised. Were you the one who harmed my eldest son, Shui Gang? Indeed, Zhuo Fan smiled. He wanted to take one of my people. Sparing him was already kind enough. What, yours? Shui Wanlong was shocked and turned to the little beggar. The little beggar blushed as he hid behind Zhuo Fan. Dad. Just then, a yell was heard. A youth in white landed next to Shui Wanlong. I knew Ninga would be hiding here. The youth looked thrilled. He disregarded Zhuo Fan and flew to the little beggar. Bastard, this kid is way too cocky, treating me like air. Zhuo Fan struck like lightning and grabbed his neck. What are you doing? A fifth-layer qi condensation cultivator. He must be your second son, Shui Lin, right? Release him now, or you won't make it out alive. Shui Wanlong roared in anger. If I do as you say, you'd make sure I'm dead even more. Clan head Shui, no matter what grievances Xiao Ning has with you, he is my person. I only hope you will give up at this point. Don't. Zhuo Fan's hand squeezed and Shui Lin gasped with his tongue out, and you will have your son as a corpse. No. The little beggar shouted before Shui Wanlong could reply, grabbing Zhuo Fan's arm and begging with his eyes. Zhuo Fan was stunned. This beggar must have a screw loose. Why does he want to leave his enemies alive? Kid, what is your name? I am alone and am not afraid of your revenge. Nor am I afraid of telling you my name. It's Zhuo Fan. All right, Zhuo Fan. You want to protect him no matter what. Shui Wanlong pointed at the little beggar with a solemn look. She is mine, so of course I will. Good, then let's make a bet. You let my son go and take 10 hits from me. If you win, I will no longer care about him. What do you say? Squinting, Zhuo Fan considered Shui Wanlong's bet, then showed his manic grin as he threw Shui Lin away. Aren't you afraid I will break my word? Zhuo Fan sneered. If I want to kill him, you won't be able to stop me. Big words. Shui Wanlong was angry again. Here are my 10 moves. But before he reached Zhuo Fan, the later also charged. This puzzled him greatly. Even if this kid is a seasoned fighter, he can't fend off a bone-tempering expert. So why? He saw Zhuo Fan's hand shine and Savage Moon appear. Third-grade demonic treasure. Shui Wanlong was shocked and turned to the side in an attempt to dodge. But a red light darted out from Zhuo Fan, aimed at Shui Wanlong. Got you. Zhuo Fan grinned with killing intent, but just as Blood Infant was about to enter Shui Wanlong, it was repelled. As it bounced off, Zhuo Fan felt his blood stirring from his connection with it. His hand moved and he slashed with Savage Moon. His hand moved and he slashed with Savage Moon. The silver light trailed past Shui Wanlong's face. He turned back to see Shui Wanlong's chest flash, and shouted, second-grade defensive demonic treasure. Against such a defensive demonic treasure, his qi condensation Blood Infant was useless. He could only rely on Savage Moon in this battle. Shui Wanlong's jaw dropped in shock. He didn't foresee that a fifth-layer qi condensation kid would have such terrifying power. If he was a moment too late, his head would have been sent flying right now. Damn it. Is this kid a monster? Zhuo Fan stared at Shui Wanlong, thinking hard for a way to finish his enemy. Shui Wanlong was the same, yet his eyes seemed lost. Being stared down by someone weaker than me feels like I've lost all respect. He decided to rush for an attack and strike awe in this kid, but Zhuo Fan got ahead of him and ran for him first. Second move. Zhuo Fan's sudden action startled him, but soon recalled who he was. Moreover, only Savage Moon was a threat to him. If he paid attention to it, he'd be fine. It would be no problem lasting 10 moves. Seeing the silver light approach him, Shui Wanlong exploded with power and retreated. It could be said that he was being wary of Savage Moon, but he was even more afraid that he would end up making an embarrassing scene. Who the hell was strong and who was weak then? Shui Lin, who was thrown down, coughed twice then stared in shock. Dad, you were the one who brought up the 10 moves bet, not the other way around. Shui Wanlong's face froze, itching to run over and kick his son's rear real good. Can you be even more oblivious? This kid's toy is sharp and you want me to play around with death. Shui Lin was ignorant of his dad's struggle and kept cheering. But Shui Wanlong's face was getting more and more ashen. With a manic grin, Zhuo Fan declared, 6th move. He sped up for another attack while Shui Wanlong was prepared to dodge. But this time, Zhuo Fan stepped lightly and turned into 3 figures. 3 silver lights approached Shui Wanlong in a threatening manner from different directions. Shui Wanlong was startled. But as a peak bone tempering expert, he didn't lose his calm. He kicked the ground and made it explode. The force helped him dodge backwards, almost enough to escape the encirclement. The images dissipated. However, Zhuo Fan appeared from behind Xue Wanlong and cut past his ear. Low spirit ranked martial art, mystifying phantom step. I lost. He couldn't believe it. Impossible. Xue Lin yelled. Dad, you must have gone easy on purpose, right? Xue Lin ran next to Xue Wanlong with but Xue Wanlong didn't comment. Of course clan head Xue went easy. His first move was just a test, without killing intent. If Dad hadn't gone easy, you'd be dead. Xue Lin was grasping for straws here when he stuck out his chin in derision. Terribly sorry, your dad didn't go all out. But if he had, his head would have been lying on the ground by now. A bone-tempering expert lacked speed in comparison to a profound heaven expert. With Savage Moon's assist, Zhuo Fan's speed matched a bone-tempering expert. So, he still had a chance with his speed. If Zhuo Fan was in the 4th layer of qi condensation, it would have been impossible. But in the 5th layer, he could use spirit-ranked martial arts. And the first one he trained was mystifying phantom step. The phantom part wasn't important, but it was crucial to bait the opponent. The true killing move came from the mystified path he drew his opponent in. During their fight, the phantoms took all of Xue Wanlong's attention and made him ignore the sudden appearance of Zhuo Fan behind him. If Zhuo Fan had sensed any killing intent in their fight, he would have chopped Xue Wanlong's head off. You're the most reliable youth I've ever seen. I will leave Ninga with you. Don't fail her. Zhuo Fan was puzzled. What does he mean by that? But Xue Wanlong didn't explain and hugged the little beggar. Ninga, go and don't return. Follow your dreams, Dad. The little beggar cried rivers. Zhuo Fan watched in shock. Dad? When did Xue Wanlong have a third child? Hold on, your third young miss, Xuening. Rolling his eyes, Xue Wanlong patted Zhuo Fan's shoulder. Kid, I thought you were smart, but you found this out only now. Anyway, you said it yourself that she is yours, so I am leaving her in your care. If I find out that you mistreated my daughter in any way, I will wring your life from your body. No way. What is going on here? Zhuo Fan was slack-jawed. All this time he'd been fighting the little beggar's father and was so close to ending her entire family. It's obvious now why she always glared at me with such hatred. Sighing, Xue Wanlong took one last look at his tearing daughter and left with Xue Lin. After going some distance, Xue Lin said, Dad, if we don't get Ninga back, how do we explain it to Hell Valley? Quiet, I have a way. Xuening. Zhuo Fan stepped before the little beggar and tossed her cap. She faced him with a blushed face but didn't meet his eyes. When this happened and hurriedly held her head. Miss Ning, what's your game? Here I was fighting with your father thinking of helping you vent your anger but, in fact, it was for nothing. Brother Zhuo, don't be angry. I only want to leave the city. Zhuo Fan was startled. Then again, she's right. As long as I get what I want, who cares if they're a family of archenemies? Each gets what he wants. This Missy speaks reason. Will I, demonic emperor, get angry because she lied to me? Anyway, this has nothing to do with me. But then Zhuo Fan was startled once again. Since when have I? With a frown, Zhuo Fan recalled everything that happened since his rebirth. He then realized that being in contact with the Luo clan around him, even without his knowledge, this wasn't how a demonic cultivator acted at all. Damn it, I don't need these useless feelings. I have to change. Xuening, let's go. Zhuo Fan pointed at the cave and said in a cold tone, once I'm done with All Beast Mountain Range, I will take you out. At that time, our deal is done. A moment later, a black hand extended out from the ground, followed by the slow crawl of the little beggar. But as she was crawling, she was flung out with a loud sound, as if a palm had slapped her. Get out already. Zhuo Fan scowled and came out after the beggar flew. He was just as filthy as the beggar and looked as if he had crawled. You're the worst. I show you the way and this is my thanks. Yes, I'm a scoundrel. Hey, is there any river nearby? Follow me. With a shout, Zhuo Fan leapt in despite a female's presence. His clothes then flew out. You rogue, what are you doing? What do you think? Bathing? I'll get out after I finish. Do what you want. If you wish, we can bathe together. I don't mind. Damn you, who wants to bathe with you? Shameless. If demonic cultivators cared about reputation, what are righteous cultivators then? A quarter of an hour later, Zhuo Fan came out of the river and put on a new robe from his ring. Xuening was a bit nervous seeing Zhuo Fan wanted to leave. She stood there in hesitation and was too embarrassed to speak. What? Show the way. Didn't we have a deal? But Xuening muttered shyly, I haven't washed yet. Xuening was swaying from one foot to the other but didn't speak. But when she caught Zhuo Fan's faint smile she knew he was teasing her. Pissed, she threw her hat in his face and walked to the river. But after a few steps, she turned to warn Zhuo Fan. You better not peek, I'm not interested in unripe fruit. Unripe? Xue Ningxiang was startled, then looked down at her chest, and pushed it out unconvinced. Where am I unripe? Half an hour later, Zhuo Fan was laying carefree on a bush, holding a straw in his mouth and contemplating his next course of action. Oh, you're finally done. Little miss, can we go now? A white-clothed, delicate girl slowly walked out. She wasn't gorgeous, but she had a lively air about her. Even Zhuo Fan was startled by her image. He didn't think that the dirty little beggar from before would transform into a gentle swan. Xue Ningxiang reddened a bit from his constant staring. She coughed and Zhuo Fan smiled embarrassingly. Lady Xue, please lead the way. Since when have I become so shameless? Yet the end result was that he found it refreshing walking side by side with a belle. Since the diamond sand is coming out, there should be plenty of people around. Why is it deserted? Brother Zhuo, I thought you were smart. How come you are so stupid all of a sudden? 1. If we go in right now, we will be caught. That is why I led you here. Xue Ningxiang pulled Zhuo Fan's hand and went higher up the hill and pointed. That is the place where the diamond sand will erupt. Zhuo Fan saw many figures, 50 in number, defending a pond. In the center, on a stone rising from the water, sat a grey-robed green-haired elder with his eyes closed. The air was warm around him, but the steam from the hot spring vanished the closer it got to him. Such deep cultivation. Is he a profound heaven expert? Suddenly, that elder snapped his eyes open and looked in Zhuo Fan's direction. His eyes were sharp and landed like lightning on his position. Get down. Such a sharp instinct. He is a profound heaven expert for sure. Correct. Xue Ningxiang nodded. He is Hell Valley's elder overseeing Blue Expanse City for the past dozen years. Last month he found that the Golden Spring Pool released a lot of diamond sand and has stood watch here ever since. The 50 people around him are. Before diamond sand erupted, it would cause the flowing gold tide. But the flowing gold tide would only contain trace amounts of diamond sand. But 3 months from then, the diamond sand would erupt for sure. To get all the diamond sand before others, they placed guards. Zhuo Fan frowned as he thought. With his power, he had no hope of stealing the diamond sand, unless. His eyes flashed and pulled Xue Ningxiang off the hilltop. If you can't beat them, outwit them. Let's go. I want you to find a little pet for me. The elder's eyes were filled with confusion. Did I sensed wrongly? At the same time, in Blue Expanse City, Xue Wanlong took Xue Lin's dirty figure home. How was it? Did you bring Ninga? Did you deal with the culprit that harmed Ganger? Dad, I let them go. That kid is not bad, so I entrusted Ninga to him. As for him injuring Ganger, he did not know any better. As long as he takes care of Ninga, I do not mind it. What? That man is Ninga's. The old man spouted in shock. That kid said Ninga was his. Ninga was also willing, so we can assume so. The old man slapped the table with a howl. Wanlong, no matter who the kid is, even if you disregard what he did to Ganger, Ninga can never ever be taken away. You know that if she leaves, our Xue clan. Dad, let Ninga go. I will take full responsibility. You take shit. Can you keep the young and old safe? Wanlong, I know you love your daughter, but you think I don't. But Xue clan, where did they go? All Beast Mountain Range. In an instant, the old man vanished. Zhuo Fan and Xue Ningxiang were searching through bushes in All Beast Mountain Range. Found it. What is it? What does it do? Sweet potato. The one thing that first-level spiritual beast burrowing mouse likes the most. Great plan. You want to use a burrowing mouse to make a tunnel and steal the diamond sand. The burrowing mouse didn't know how to fight, and even a Foundation Establishment cultivator could capture it easily. But its burrowing skill was second to none. Just one of these critters could dig through a 1,000-mile-long mountain range in an hour. Zhuo Fan didn't reply and showed a faint smile. Xue Ningxiang felt even more suspicious now. No one seemed to be able to unravel the insidious mind of Zhuo Fan. A sweet aroma wafted for 100 miles. Suddenly, the bulge of dirt broke away. A creature with a black mouth on its tiny head came out. Now! Zhuo Fan screamed. Zhuo Fan already flashed before it and grabbed its tail. Buddy, you wanna run? With a manic grin, Zhuo Fan grabbed the critter's frail body and squeezed. It screeched in pain. Xue Ningxiang couldn't take it anymore and took the poor thing close to her chest. She patted it and threw Zhuo Fan an evil eye. How can you be so cruel? What if you hurt it? Spiritual beasts don't get bruised easily. We need to hurry and tame it or we won't get another chance. But you don't need to be such a bore about it. My clan had raised some small spiritual beasts before, and even if they were wild they still listened to me. Isn't that right, little one? The burrowing mouse seemed to understand and nodded. then glared at Shuo Fan. But then an idea struck him and his manic grin returned. What are you trying to do? Tea's all right. I won't harm the little one. I only want it to swallow something. What is that? So disgusting. We have 2 ways we can tame the little guy fast. Either let me train it for a day, or he eats this. Xuaningxiang saw Shuo Fan's face and she knew if she refused, he'd use force. Helpless, Xuaningxiang took the burrowing mouse out and patted its head. Little one, it's better if you eat it. Although it's a tad disgusting, it's better than landing in that guy's hands. The critter struggled but it was of no use. The bloodworm was about to enter its. Shuo Fan pushed Xuaningxiang away as he moved back himself. Watch out. A cold light passed between them. The freezing ray almost touched Shuo Fan's fingers as it cut the wiggling bloodworm clean in half. He was aware of the killing intent the ray contained. The burrowing mouse shrieked a few times and ran from Xuaningxiang's hands and climbed up his body to his shoulder. You both got some nerve eyeing my spirit animal. Shuo Fan turned to see a tall youth not 10 meters away. He looked to be 20 years old and had a handsome visage. His eyes flashed with coldness, like a pair of sharp blades, at the 2 of them. It has a master. Sorry, it wasn't on purpose. Shuo Fan stopped Xuaningxiang's explanation with a wave and pushed her behind him. It doesn't matter if it has a master or not. We need it today. Big words. One insect is in the 5th layer of qi condensation, while the other in the 4th. Yet you still want to tame what is mine? Fine, guess I will have to end you. We will see about that. 3rd grade demonic treasure. His hand flashed and it now held a long sword. In an instant, the world seemed to freeze over. The sky and the earth seemed to vanish as Shuo Fan suddenly slowed down amid his charge. Even his surroundings were sluggish while the only thing unaffected was the long sword. Profound ranked martial art, 7th layer of bone tempering stage, and 4th grade spiritual weapon. This man could be a core disciple of the 7 noble houses, perhaps even an inheritor. Today Shuo Fan offended him and tomorrow trouble would come knocking. The only choice was to kill him. In an instant, Shuo Fan's eyes exploded with killing intent. Am I not the one holding the advantage? Why is this kid releasing such thick killing intent? Despite knowing that he was slowed down, Shuo Fan only took a step and turned into 5 images of himself. The youth's sword turned into 5 and struck each figure down. Think you can act tough with such a base-level killing move? But at that moment, Shuo Fan's voice came from behind him. Nice sword skill. Too bad you met me. In this moment of imminent danger, he stabbed backwards. Shuo Fan ignored the sword going for his chest and slashed at the youth's waist. If this continued it would end with Shuo Fan being gravely wounded and the youth dead. Shuo Fan slashed with full power, but a metal screech echoed and Savage Moon bounced back. He squinted as his heart was in a panic. This punk has a spiritual armor besides the spiritual weapon, but the timing didn't even let him think. The youth's sword was getting dangerously close to his chest. Damn it, I miscalculated this time. With no more time to think, Shuo Fan's Savage Moon and the golden sword struck each other. He hit the dirt and the Savage Moon clanked next to him in 2. Not for the life of him did he think this freakin' punk to be this rich. Even an elder from Hell Valley had a single demonic treasure at best. But this punk here was wielding one while wearing another. He has a 4th grade spiritual armor on him that my blood infant can't get through. The only way to hurt him was with Savage Moon. But the worst part was, the youth used all his power against someone weaker. Everyone was afraid of the serious types. This will make it even harder for him to make any mistakes for me to exploit. Yet who'd have known that the youth's mental state mirrored his, maybe even more terrified. The youth was known as a genius among geniuses in his clan. He learned the sword all his life and never lost. But against Shuo Fan, who was weaker, he was one move away from dying even when he exerted his all. If not for the spiritual armor, he'd be dead. Dead from a man weaker than him by a stage. He was an exceptional genius who could defeat a peak bone tempering expert in a single move. He was the clan's successor. How could? Brother, what is your name? Shuo Fan was startled and saw the change in the youth's eyes. Guessing he wouldn't keep on wanting to kill them, he replied, Shuo Fan, I'll remember you. We'll finish this the next time we meet. That youth sheathed his sword, took his burrowing mouse, and was about to leave. Wait, what is it? Dare I ask, brother? Are you also here for the diamond sand? What if I am? What if I'm not? If not, then let's part ways. If you are, want to work together? Work together? The youth frowned and took a long look at the two. How? Not even the 3 of us are enough to steal 1 speck of diamond sand. Brother has a burrowing mouse, so you plan to avoid fighting them. So we had the same idea. I see why you wanted this guy, but this burrowing mouse is mine. What can you bring if we team up? The correct way of using the burrowing mouse. How is brother going to use it to get the diamond sand? Dig a tunnel, wait for the diamond sand to erupt, and we steal some. Xue Ningxiang spoke out of turn, but her response only earned the laughter of the two until her face went red. She glared. Why are you laughing? Am I wrong? Lady, they have a profound heaven expert, so how could it work? You'll be caught before you even make a move. In any case, my silly sister raised an option we definitely must avoid. What about you? Easy. The diamond sand is pushed by the deep earth and comes out as a spring. I will have the burrowing mouse dig a small tunnel from the main course to direct a part of the diamond sand to me. Great plan. If I were you, this would also be the best plan. If brother believes me, I can get all of it, leaving nothing to Hell Valley. We will later split it evenly. What do you say?